Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Chad's quick to retaliate with visa suspensions for US travellers after Trump travel bans and restrictions hit several African countries. Also, Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu dies at 68 in South Africa. He took office in 2016, holding power for 7 years until losing to the incumbent in 2021. And we take a look at Africa's immense international cultural clout and how to level it up. Speak to Peace Hyde, the producer behind the runaway Netflix success Young, Famous and African, which is now into its third season. And she tells me that the impact the continent's creatives are having around the globe is no accident. But first, most of the countries on a US travel ban list are from Africa, included amongst 12 nations whose citizens Trump says are no longer welcome are Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Libya, Somalia and Sudan. Nationals of Burundi, Sierra Leone and Togo are included in a 7-strong separate list for restricted access. Our regional correspondent tells us more.
From Monday, the 9th of June, citizens from at least 7 African countries will no longer be allowed to travel to the United States. In East Africa, that includes Somalia, Sudan and Eritrea, now all subject to this new travel ban. Now, US President Donald Trump announced the move in a video posted on X, saying he would block entry to anyone who, in his words, could pose a threat to the US. He justified the decision by citing high visa overstay rates, terrorism risks and the difficulty of verifying travellers' criminal records before they arrive. The African Union has warned of negative consequences and has urged Washington to consult the countries affected. Somalia's ambassador to the US has said his country is open to working with American officials to address any security issues. And a Sudanese diplomat speaking to Reuters noted that while Sudan is currently in the middle of a civil war, its citizens have never been linked to terrorism abroad. Now, this is not the first time Trump has taken such action. Back in 2017, he introduced a similar ban targeting several African and Muslim-majority countries. That measure was later repealed by former President Joe Biden in 2021, who called it a stain on the nation's conscience.
Well, Chad was quick to suspend visas for US citizens after Washington's ban, and the African Union said that the extreme immigration shutdown undoes decades of diplomatic progress between the continents. Catherine Viette tells us more.
The African Union has hit back after half of the countries on the new U.S. travel ban list are located on the continent. In a statement, the AU Commission called on Washington to adopt a more consultative approach and warned of a negative impact on broader diplomatic relations. U.S. President Donald Trump has justified the ban as a national security issue after calling Somalia a terrorist safe haven. Its citizens have expressed their outrage.
The problems that drove migrants to leave Somalia persist. It's a major issue. And this decision is a humiliation for U.S. Somalis.
Many Somalis live in the United States, including members of our family. I call on the U.S. president to end the travel ban and allow Somalis to live there proudly.
The decision to include the Republic of Congo has left officials puzzled.
The Congo is neither a terrorist country, nor does it harbor any terrorists, nor is it known for its terrorist activities. We believe that this is a misunderstanding.
Washington claims the visa overstay rates for Congolese nationals as well as citizens from Chad are unacceptable. In the U.S., some Americans say they're not surprised the ban is back.
It's Trump. He's a renowned racist, and he's trying to make America white again, not make America great again, which is very sad and scary, considering that this nation was built on different nationalities and immigrants.
The only exception, athletes who've qualified for the upcoming FIFA World Cup and Olympic Games, which will be held in the United States.
Well, Zambia's former president Edgar Lungu has died. He was 68 when he passed away on Thursday in a South African hospital. Lungu took office in 2016 and held power for almost 7 years until losing to the current president Hakainde Hichilema in 2021. Now, he did try to return to politics, but was banned from taking office again by a constitutional court just last December. Clarice Fortuné talks us through.
Edgar Lungu was still a political novice when he joined Michael Satta's government to become defense minister in 2013. The following year, he was named justice minister and head of the Patriotic Front, Zambia's ruling party. In 2014, Lungu became acting president after Satta fell prey to a grave illness. And when the head of state passed away, Lungu was elected to replace him. Having gotten some experience at the helm of the country, Edgar Lungu ran for his first presidential term in 2016.
Those who didn't know me, now they know me. Those who didn't like me, now they like me.
Under Lungu's presidency, Zambia launched a series of large-scale infrastructure projects, including the construction of roads, schools, and hospitals.
So what I've said is, yes, let's leave the mines. When the mines bloom and blossom, that's good. But we will not abandon agriculture. We will not abandon other sectors, such as tourism, infrastructure development, manufacturing, and value addition. You know, the climatic change has not been kind to us, but I think it has given us a chance to wake up.
But these massive investments also fueled criticism of the president, who's been accused of financial mismanagement and of borrowing excessively from the Chinese. As the country struggled to pay back its debts, the COVID-19 pandemic dealt another blow to the economy. Lungu will continue to hold power until 2021, finally leaving the seat to current President Hakainde Hichilema. He had said he planned to run for president again in the 2026 elections. He died in a hospital in South Africa at the age of 68.
Well, Burundi held parliamentary elections on Thursday. The vote expects to back the ruling party, as it didn't face much opposition, as many rival political figures weren't allowed to run. Some of the boldest voices, though, amidst the tensions, has been from the Catholic Church. Juliette Montier has more.
Sunday Mass in Bujumbura. The homily today, a reflection on love and tolerance, a message that resonates deeply during this electoral season.
The gospel has always been our foundation when it comes to speaking words of peace, sometimes of appeasement. We know we reach a wide audience, so we're aware of the responsibility that comes with that.
With the legislative vote approaching, Catholic leaders are calling for calm. Their message brings comfort to many believers still shaken by memories of past electoral violence.
Every time we go through these intense political periods, the Church doesn't turn a blind eye. They remind all Christians to be careful, to remember that they are Christians first, before being politicians.
This legitimacy in the eyes of the public sometimes earns the Church a seat at the political table. Father Dieudonné Nibizi is working to combat the verbal violence that often dominates campaign speeches.
We've held training sessions with campaign managers from the political parties taking part in these elections. The goal was to give them guidelines on how to craft a campaign message, one that's not based on attacking opponents, so that the public can say, this program, I want to vote for it.
A long-term effort to shift mentalities in a country with a history of conflict. At the Petit Séminaire of Mugera, the Conference of Bishops is holding a forum on reconciliation.
The Church is playing its part. We are training over 1,000 observers who will be deployed on the ground to monitor how these elections are conducted.
A check on power, committed to democracy, the Catholic Church doesn't shy away from speaking out.
Truth will not be sacrificed for partisan interests. We must live together as brothers.
A stance not always appreciated by authorities. In 2020, the Church openly denounced irregularities in the vote that brought Évariste Ndayishimiye to power.
The Congolese government has banned the media from reporting on the activities of former President Joseph Kabila. Now, he left the country in 2023 but returned to the DRC last month. His successor, Felix Tshisekedi, accuses him of being one of the orchestrators of the recent ramped-up offensive of M23 rebels. Authorities are pushing to prosecute Kabila on treason charges. And finally, Africa has immense international cultural clout. Nigerian filmmakers came out in force at this year's Cannes Film Festival here in France with Akinola Davies Jr.'s debut feature, My Father's Shadow, making history as the first Nigerian film selected for the official lineup, screening in the Un Certain Regard section. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. The clout of the continent is immense. Now, earlier I spoke to Peace Hyde, the producer behind the runaway Netflix success, Young, Famous and African, which is now into its third season. She says that the impact that the continent's creatives are having is no accident, and there's more to come.
Right now, the gloves are off. I think that when you are looking at what the creative economy in Africa is doing at the current time, a lot of people don't realize that the creative economy that we are celebrating, that we are recognizing, was built off the back of individual Africans that had a dream and a vision, that made it their passion and goal to raise capital from so many resources, or even themselves sometimes, to make sure they were telling their stories and amplifying their talents. So what you see and what you're experiencing right now of industries such as Nollywood, Gollywood, and even the amazing artists and fashion designers that are being recognized for their years of work and toil is the result of Africans almost carrying and creating that industry on their backs. I think that there's no doubt that we can always do more. I mean, I think in order to grow, there should always be more. But I think we also have to look at the collaborative effort of the diaspora and of big multinationals and of so many other platforms and institutions and even government bodies now recognizing the impact that individual Africans are making by amplifying their visions and saying, okay, how can we put funding behind this? How can we increase sponsorship? How can we create a pipeline to the creative economy that means they're able to thrive and have the infrastructure and systems that mean that we are able to actually build more stories and create an even larger impact? So I would not say that they're wrong in terms of saying, obviously, it always starts within, but I think what you're actually witnessing is the product of that burning fire within.
Well, we'll be able to hear more from Peace Hyde in this week's edition of Across Africa, so do try and catch that if you can. Till then, though, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.